Greetings, cosmic beings, dreamers. Can you hear the crickets? It's night, it's hot, it's beautiful summer, and I've been on this roll of saying hello to the magic webs. So, I yesterday I did almost a 2 hour podcast, and then I had some bloopers in there that, or some parts that I didn't really want to have show up. And then I aimed on editing it, and then I uploaded it to the editing software, and it didn't work. So that's just gonna be, that was number three. This is number four. So hopefully at some point, I or my virtual assistant will get it into a place of being able to upload number three. It was pretty deep and really revealing about my story. And I was talking about trauma and sexuality and magic. So, and because I have these theories about how we can come alive as fully orgasmic beings, where the orgasmic principle is every particle, every aspect of our being can be orgasmic. Alas, this is not the plan for today's conversation or communication. So that one will happen when it's time, because it needs to be edited, because there are some things in there that I don't want to reveal. And I did reveal, and I was like, oh no, I have to edit this. And it just seems like I'm not meant to edit. I have challenged with editing, even though I've designed and done user interfaces and things like that, and done some video and some audio and some graphic design. It doesn't really seem like what I'm meant to do. I just was doing it to put myself through college, and is what I fell into. And I seem to be natural at that. But really, I am much more natural at other experiences. Like I'm researching and experiencing and talking with multiverses um, my whole life. So, yeah, that brings me to the subject of what I feel to speak about tonight. And let me just show you the cards from yesterday before I shuffle them and do another set. But because I don't know when I'm gonna post the 2 hour piece and that needs to be cut up. Um, Maybe it'll just become shorts at some point, or we'll see what happens. But these are the cards that I picked yesterday, and then I'm gonna pick a new set of cards later, after I talk about this. So I picked Winter's Dream Gestation Period. So, and I don't really remember what I was talking about, but Winter's Dream is that time where you go into the other worlds, another space, and you get into the dream space, and it's like the imaginal cells of the butterfly. And when before it's a butterfly, when it's still a caterpillar, it goes through this gestation time where it's just dreaming up its reality. So that's, where I'm at with creating this creation here. I just had a deja vu. I just saw myself and I was like, oh yeah, this is the way it's supposed to go. So, and then skywriting, the fates. So how are we writing our fate, our destiny, our life, our creation? Oh, it's all already written. No, we have a part in how we write it. And has to do with how we're going to dream up our reality and how we're going to write it and direct it. And then drifter, experiencing life as it comes. So there's a level of intention, and then letting go and let happen and allowing flow, and even drifting depending on where you're at. There's points where you might want to create structure, create architecture. And then there's times that you work with that architecture and travel somewhere. So, for instance, like a car, that's an architecture, that's this framework that holds your body as you travel through time and space with wheels and engine and things like that. So that I was immediately imagining like dream vehicles. So what, because I want to speak today about dreams. And I was just looking up Robert Moss and Dr. Deirdre Barret. And um, I've gone in and out of my life studying dreams. Starting with when I was a kid, and I thought dreams were pretty much same as reality. Not really the same. I mean, actually, I probably didn't know the difference between dreams and reality when I was a kid. I remember talking with my family, like, oh, we just did this. And they would be like, what are you talking about? And I would be like, but we just walked through that forest, or we just swam in that lake, or we just played that game, or I don't remember what those we just did experiences were, but I do remember, no, we didn't. What are you talking about? Where'd you get that from? No, we didn't. And then it turned out that it was dreams. And so it turned into this thing where every time I would say something that, I thought happened, oh, it's just a dream. You were just dreaming again. And that became a part of my reality because I would literally wake up from dreams and still see the experience around me with my eyes wide open. These were more nightmare dreams. And um, so like I saw, it's not like that happened very often, but I remember seeing bugs everywhere. I think I was still in my crib, or I was like 2 or something. And so my earliest memories are about dreams, and are about magic, and are about other spaces and other worlds besides the physical Newtonian objective reality of embodiment, and no soul in science. And so, but I come from a science family on one half. So it's been, how do you integrate and work with the emergence of what wants to come through me in this current reality? And in a sense, I hid it under the rug. Okay, it was just a dream. It was just a dream. But it really affected me and with the personal podcast, or the communication that I did yesterday that I haven't posted, and I will figure out how to post at some point. It was talking about how that actually affected my reality, because I do see alternate realities, and I have seen that since I was a child. Yet I couldn't really talk about it because it wasn't accepted in society. In the Western culture, it wasn't accepted. But now that I've really gone on a deep dive in that throughout my adulthood, it's really actually natural in my lineage. My mom is also a like creative, sees things and feels things and senses. And I feel lucky to be the next generation where we have the internet, where we have the library, where my parents came to the United States, where it's a lot of free thinking and a lot of free potential ways. And then there's the Native American here, and that there's a whole back to the land experience, back to um, back to our senses, back to nature, back to like noticing what's happening with the sun and the wind. And I grew up camping with my family, and that was one of the reasons why they came to the US, because of all the beautiful land. They're from Europe, from the Netherlands, where like literally the Netherlands go under the water, like so because a lot of it's like built out into the sea, the land, so that they could have more space. As far as I know, I'm actually Dutch American, so and I don't know as much about the history there as I know about my experiential life that I've had in both physical and dream time, because I've spent a lot of time going on these dream quests. So, and it stemmed from my childhood when I was saying, remember, remember, remember your dreams, remember what you're here for, remember your out of body experiences, remember that you levitated, remember this magnetic feeling, remember that you flew through walls. Like, yeah, so those were very important for me when I was a child. And the fact that I'm actually coming out and speaking about this to the camera, like my family doesn't even know the extent of that experience that I've had and how much it influenced me. So, mom, if you're watching this, brother, sister, niece, nephew, you're going to hear about my internal dream space and my whole my life and the meaning and how it's it was etched in me to remember since I can first remember. And I remember dreams from being 2 years old when the bugs were all over the place and stuff like that. And I thought they were literally like all over me, like every single millimeter of was the room and me were bugs everywhere, and I was screaming, and like, nightmare parents come in like, why are you screaming? And it may have even been a nap. I don't know if it was during the day. Oh my god, I think it might have been a nap. It's probably why I never napped again. I didn't like naps until I turned 40 something, late 40s. um so yeah, yeah, I remember just being freaked out by certain symbols as well, but that bug situation. So then bugs were bugging me. I had this thing about bugs, and then I had rashy skin, and it was like always like bug. So, and the way I worked with the rashy skin was looking at my diet. Okay, it's the pH balance, it's the too much coffee, too much sugar, too much milk, too much wheat. I did all of that, cutting out of that, looking at I keep on hitting, it's the knee thing, the alkaline diet, the looking at the different kinds of, like, okay, just vegetables and no sugars, and those things definitely helped. And like looking at the inflammation inside, and like, is there a lot of mucus, and am I eating mucus creating foods, clogging foods? Had a lot of digestion challenges. Like I said in the previous experience, is that our previous conversation, is that like I didn't have regular bowel movements until I was in my mid 30s. And what really helped me there was being a telecommuter. Now I'm 54, so I was already telecommuting early, early on. I also did this whole thing where I was back to the land and things like that, and that really helped. Back to the land, kind of farming, living, and then working digitally online in the early days. It was really tough because it was satellite, and satellite wasn't that great, and that's a whole story anyway. That and where I lived, I couldn't get internet, so then I got an office in town, and like I was just trying to make it happen, and yeah, so then I ended up leaving that place and moving back to San Francisco and going to grad school for philosophy of consciousness and cosmology, where, oops, it's my 11 o'clock. It used to have a beautiful song going with it on YouTube, but I think let's have a moment with 11:11. All right. this is a great time, 11:11, to dream of a healed body, like being in flow and coming alive with every beautiful circuit of my body, of your body, of our bodies. May the waters in our bodies activate the most healing, healthy, rejuvenating, thriving spaces within us. Cheers and prost, and drink up to that. Thank you, waters. Oh, I taste the hydrogen in this one. Do you see the bubbles? It's got bubbles. It's the hydrogen bubbles. And there's my Ganesha. I have had my Ganesha here, but kind of hidden, and trying to make sure that my Ganesha can be seen. And I love the water. And so there's the designer in me being like, oh, look, the Ganesha and the water. And we've got the crystal over here. So anyway, I'm still playing around with how I do this, and I'm recognizing what works and what doesn't. And um, it's about being in the highest and best place with the art of communication and intention and what I want to bring forth. So, having worked with dreams quite a bit in my life, boom, these want to come out. Dream Thief, Refusal of the Call, and Horseman, Herald of Change. So, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when this comes up, Dream Thief, Refusal of the Call, we have dreams in our, like, not only do we have dreams when we shut our eyes and when we sleep, but we also have like aspirations and dreams and hopes. And even when we go to sleep and the different states of the consciousness, we can work with our dreams, our wishes, our hearts, our entire systems, every molecule. I feel like every molecule, every bit of us dreams. And so we can become lucid and awaken to those dreams with intention and with architecture, with vehicles of intention. So I was just listening to Robert Moss, and he was like, come to the Shift Network and we'll create this entity for your dreams. And so that's really beautiful. And I look forward to talking to Robert Moss. And he's my new favorite guy. And I really love Deirdre Barret as well. And I will be reaching out to her as well. I'd love to have them on my podcast, Technology of Self. They're people that I will be interviewing. And again, this podcast right now is about my personal experience with dreams, with magic, with the arts, with sex, with technology, with travel, with my health challenges, with abuse, with redreaming, reclaiming, upgrading our lives, and all that I've studied in that, and what I will continue studying. And then I'm inviting people to my interview podcast, Technology of Self, which is about how we are the innate technology already. So how do we work with the technology that we already are? And for me, the big part of it has been working with the dream space within, the inner dream space. And I actually offer a coaching session, a series of coaching sessions, and they're called Dream Alchemy. And it works with looking at your inner alchemy and then working with what the imagination is doing. So what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you sensing? What are you imagining? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? I actually call that shift. See, hear, imagine, feel, think. So this is the media within your body. I'm calling it media because I actually come from Silicon Valley. I actually come from systems analyst engineer. I actually have worked in technology as a designer in um, innovative think tanks, incubator kind of spaces, startups. And so I've been looking at how do we dream a new reality through technology. So that's been a big part of my life. And I was called Imagineer or Visioneer by my mentor, who was always thinking up new ways to create reality in the digital realm. And I find that very interesting. And I went full throttle on it for a little while when I was in my 20s. And then I kept on coming back to it and then leaving and coming back. And so now I'm like, okay, how do I merge these worlds? I'm into going on these dream quests and traveling and discovering embodiment and discovering metaverses, multiverses, dream worlds. Well, metaverses I've also worked with. I've actually created a metaverse, and in the metaverse, there were a lot was about how do we become conscious of the reality we're creating, and that was called Conscious Playground. It's a play of consciousness. So dreaming is like a play of consciousness where you have your aware consciousness, you have your subconscious, and you have your super consciousness. And um, I'm not going to say that I know the extent of Dr. Deirdre Barret and Robert Moss, but I also have a lot to say. So we'll talk really deep when I hope that they will join Technology of Self. I feel like it will happen. And so look out for that at some point. But in the meantime, I'm going to share my experience, my knowledge, my learning off the cuff, and also, what I'm learning from others. So it was really, really beautiful to be listening to what Robert Moss has to say, because he also experienced a lot of dream space, and Deirdre as well. They were dreaming people that did not have the acceptance of society, because we all grew up in regular society, and regular society and in the Western worlds, we don't have a place for shaman and and dream people, and where the shaman are the dreamers in a lot of cultures. So um yeah, so we were talking about the dream thief here, refusal of the call. So on one level, by going underground with it and hiding the fact that I was really into my dreams, and um, I wasn't always completely hiding. I was certainly experimenting. I was studying psychology. I was studying philosophy. I was going to festivals and art spaces, and I worked with. I went into dream quests, and I searched for experiences. Yet I had a challenge with accepting the fact that I'm a dreamer and that dreams work with me. And I did name myself at this podcast and my Instagram and the other places Lotus Love Dreams. And but that name Lotus Love was given to me by someone else, by Amachi, the hugging guru. So, but Lotus Love Dreams is, it's like I'm dreaming about the reality of us coming from the darkness, the unknown, the unseen, to into the light, into of the sun, and blooming there. So that's definitely been a big part of my reality. And part of it is that I had a lot of experience with dream thieves, and um, it's a kind of like I had this calling and this urge, and I was like, oh, I have to go there, I have to, but I can't, and I wouldn't, and it was part of the freeze, and the trauma that I experienced, and how to get through to the aligned, balanced me that is actually very esoteric, living in multiverses, very connected to them, loving being connected to them, loving remembering, loving that space, and acknowledging that I'm getting information from all these different areas and that I'm psychic, and how do I work with that, and looking at what's the difference between dreamed reality and reality. So these are the questions that I will be asking both. Well, I just hope, I can't wait until they come onto my podcast. That will be so great. But in the meantime, I'm just going to talk about my experience of um, bumbling about trying to figure out how to work with my my metacognition, or my ESP in a society that told you to get to it, and so there's a whole experience that happened there, and I felt like I was in multiple worlds, and then I was split in half, and so then the halves were not able to uh, work together. And so now they're working together. I've been like integrating all parts. Like, okay, yes, I have that masculine side, my divine masculine side that's very technology, create the new world technology that's healthy for people, like, and so then that's the feminine side, is like, I have a vision of how we can come alive with our thoughts and our feelings, with our shift, our senses, our hearing, our imagination, our feeling, our thoughts. Shift, by the way, is very similar to I think it's Dr. Siegel. He works with mindfulness. He does sift, um, but I like shift. So kudos to him for that. And then there's a bunch of other ones that I'm working with other people, these acronyms that help us remember how to either dream or how to come into a better mindset. And I like a couple of them that both Dr. Deirdre Barret and Robert Moss were, that I was listening to them about. And dream incubation is what Dr. Deirdre Barret talks about, what I've been doing, which is transformative visualization, or dream alchemy is what I've named it. And that's where you're actually, and then Robert Moss calls it re-entry, as far as I'm understanding. So I will find out more about their experiences and their ways of communicating this, but this is a space where you actually work with your dreams to create your reality, to heal trauma, to call in new spaces, to realize new forms of being and within yourself, and diversify your own repertoire. So your own personal repertoire, and create resources. So that's the my app, my platform, my system that is for helping people upgrade their minds, have to do with your repertoire of being. So, and I just learned from who was that? That was one of the trauma authors, either Levine or Ogden. I think it was Levine. And shoots, now I'm forgetting who that was, but they were also talking about creating resources, a repertoire of resources, so that you can deal with when you're going into a state of dysfunction or traumatic memory. So I have a lot of experience with traumatic memory and my whole body being taken over. My body has been living in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, please, feign, cry for many, many years. And I was in deep depression. I would go in and out because I'm also naturally a really joyful, happy, fun, outgoing person. Um, but I was very moody because anything could trigger me into a space of dysfunction because I didn't have tools on how to regulate my nervous system and my default mode or my default moods in certain kind of spaces, or these patterns that I created in to cope with life were not always healthy. So, and part of my journey was that I was like, go on adventure and find out how to heal myself on adventure and go with the flow. But then, my flow was not always architected. And then when um like chosen how I'm gonna pattern, I'm gonna create a pattern of like what I intend to create. So that's what I call architecture. Like you can architect your flow by being like, this is the kind of travel I'm going to doing this. And so I was always traveling for new and diverse experiences and looking out for healing, and doing healing. And so I have traveled to a lot of different healing spaces of the world and visited like shamans and servers and yogis and meditation um, people and meditation centers and things like that. So I've learned and taken quite a few courses, and I have some certificates. I would love to have more to really feel well-rounded, and I'm actually working on an amazing certification for the last year, and I'll be certified as long as I pass at the end of the year for emotional medicine. And that's another person I'm very excited to bring on the Technology of Self podcast. Again, this is just me talking about my experiences, and these are part of my experiences, is all the learning about how we can upgrade ourselves through these different esoteric arts and physical movement, the whole integral experience, food, movement, thoughts, dreams. Um, so I wanted to talk more about dreaming and how, in a way, the way our society and Western society is built is we're all dream thieves of each other. If we don't let people live in their highest or become their highest principle, or their highest and best, their ultimate being, their dream self coming alive and awakening, then we're going to have a lot of chaos in the world. And that's what we've been seeing in I just love Pluto. Pluto has been in Capricorn for, I thought it was 14 years, but maybe it was 20 years. I still have to, how long the planets orbit the sun is how long it's in a sign or something. I'm still learning. I'm sorry. But I love this stuff. And you're not supposed to tell that you don't remember. Okay. Bloop. Someone edit this. Oh, it's not going to be edited. When I get a VA, maybe we'll act much more serious. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just going to be real. Like I'm still in my learning process, and I see that I've allowed dream thieves of my internal processes, my negative, what I was calling negative addiction phrases is what I call it. It's like you get addicted to these phrases that are negative and don't serve your reality, your dreams, your experiences. And so what you want to do. So those are dream thieves. If you're talking negatively to yourself internally, that's a dream thief. It's a nightmare, actually. So dream thieves are taking away what you would be living if you were living in, you know, all I can say is your dream. That's just my favorite thing. Like, what is your dream? Do you know it? Are you connected? Can you feel it? So I've been dreaming for a long time and I've done a lot of different dream experiments. And that's how I became an Imagineer for technology as well. Yet, what the thing with me is that I could dream up a whole new technology because I was tapping in into the conscious collective and what do we need for, this idea or that reason. And um, I couldn't explain it because I mean, I could design it, I could draw it up, I could create the specifications, but like I could do the interface design, I could do the wireframes, and I could do the specifications, but it would take me a really long time. I would be studying, I would be looking at all these different technologies and what's now, what's available now, and what can we do, and what phases, and where's it going, and like I went really deep, and it really was quite an art, and a lot of it had to do with dreaming. So I would literally lay down, and I've been doing this my whole life, lay down and ask myself questions and see what comes. And then just I would go off into like all these fantasy worlds, and I would be designing entire worlds since I was little. My mom thought I was going to be an architect because I would literally, I would do that laying down, dreaming up entire worlds. But a lot of times I wanted to bring them to reality. And I did have some of those experiences that were brought to reality. But then, hey, I've got some water. Let's dream up some good worlds. So this was one of the dreams, is to have a great machine at home where I can create good water. Because I grew up drinking spring water. We would take our bottles to the spring and have gallons of spring water to drink. And we did that pretty regularly. That was my mom, who loved it. That was in the San Francisco Bay Area. That spring is no longer existing um, because they're E. coli and things like that. It just they closed it off. That those things, we had availability of better waters in the 70s and 80s than we did in the 90s and later. So anyway, so I was talking about the dream thief and refusal of the call. So I told myself to remember my dreams, remember this purpose. This is what we would call it now that I know the languaging of it, the architecture and how to communicate it, the soul purpose. I felt like I came to life with a purpose. It was linked to my dreams and to doing things like that were supposedly not supposed to do or not able to do according to Newtonian physics. And quantum physics is noticing quite a bit of different things, including people are looking at different kinds of math. And one of my upcoming guests in the near future, we will be talking a bit about that. We already talked about it a little bit earlier this week, and I did a recording. So I might have that as a teaser, and then we'll have uh, a full recording about, he wants to talk about the superconscious space. So, and we were talking about quantum physics and math in that. So he's the expert, he's been studying, he's an elder, and so we'll ask him some great questions. So, but what I was talking about is Oh, there goes the fleeting mind. Um, Dream thief remembering. So I was just reading Robert Moss's book, the newer one, Dream Soul something. I have it on my iPad. It's the one that's up. Um, see, oops. I'm a book lover. I have so many books, and I keep on downloading more and more. Where'd it go? Oh, Dreaming the Soul Back Home by Robert Moss. That's his newer book. And the first thing he talks about is amnesis. I think I'm saying it right. And uh, which is to remember. And so I was like, this is the thing I've been saying to myself like since I was a child. And it had so much meaning to me because it's linked to my purpose, my soul purpose. And when I do that soul purpose, I'll have a good life, right? So why did it take me so long to get here to this point where I'm like, you know what? That's my sole purpose and I'm doing it. And I've seen all of this and it's happening. Um, it took so long because I talk to people in the dream world, not physically. Like literally. I mean, there are different times in my life where I literally saw the faces of the people and I was like, wow, I know them. And then I met them in person and I literally was like I did when I was a kid. Oh, remember when we? And they're like, what are you talking about, crazy girl? And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like I didn't quite get how the dream world worked and that I might be tapping into a super consciousness where we're all connected and I'm seeing and actually talking and having experiences with these people. And then I'm meeting them in person and being, that was you and me, remember? Like, don't you feel it? And they're just like, huh? Stop pushing your ideas on me. You're a little weird, huh? And so I had to I went actually into deep depression after meeting some people that I had been waiting to meet my entire life and was so excited that I annoyed them. I was just like a little like a puppy like oh my god, oh my god, and not entirely knowing how to speak about it and just kind of assuming that they knew too. And then, so now I've kind of learned how to, and I was attached to them and us having that divine dream creation, life creation experience. And I didn't know how to merge the worlds, and that's now what I'm doing. And for me to merge the worlds, it's a lot of study. It's listening to people like Robert Moss, like Deirdre Barret, like Pat Ogden, and I think it's Paul Levine, and these kind of things. And I've been studying for a long time, um, yet it seems like there's just like I had to accumulate enough information and I may have gone a bit out of sequence. There were some things that I was really into, but I wasn't able to ground and work with. And a lot of it is because the traumas were in the way. They were being the dream thief. So yeah, so I don't want to make this 2 hours like I did last night. I'm going to try to make this one a little bit shorter. I'm gonna just upload it and I'm not gonna say anything that I'm afraid of posting. So here we go. The Herald of Change, the Horseman. I am back on my horsey. And I'm laughing because it's a little internal joke with myself is like when I was in Tulum, Mexico, great place. Thank you. I love you. The vibes are off the hook. And if you have some things that you want to work through, then it's going to be in your face. So I had, you know, a great start there and amazing experiences, amazing people. And then, I met some of these people that I was like, hey, remember me in the dream space? Of course you remember. You're psychic too, aren't you? Oh, okay, maybe it's something different. So that just threw me off, and that was a whole thing. And oh, that's what I wanted to share. So and those were the people that I met out in the world. They weren't like my blood family or not anything. So what I ended up doing was just like, okay, I've learned these tools. I know transformative visualization, theta, reiki, um, Gong, celestial speaking, and I've been working with, and I sing, and I drum, I have my rattles, and I had them over here, like, and I get into these states, and I realized that I used to stare at candles. Let's get our lucidity candle when I was a kid, and so all these, like, coming to terms with the fact that I do remember, and it really is special to me that I was a kid that would just stare at candles for fun, and stare at walls for fun, and stare at water for fun. So I call myself a trance kid. It was before I haven't put out number 3 yet, but I might have talked in the earlier introductions. But part of the trauma was that my body was taken over, and I was forced substances that were not what I would choose to do as a child. And but what I'm saying is that I had these, like, looking at the candles, and staring into the wall, and flying into the wall before all that happened. So, and I remember um, these instances because we moved so much, because we had different houses and different divorces and different families and stuff like that. I lived with different people, mother, father, others, and so every place that I lived, I remember um, what happened in that location. So I'm able to, draw from that memory. Oh, I lived there. I was that age at that point. Otherwise, it might be a blur if I lived in the same place, 20 years or 10 years in a row. And so, and that's actually a technique for remembering things, remembering your speech, which I might do at some point. I heard a TED Talk person say that that's how they remembered. It's called the LOCI, LOCI, effect training. I forgot, whatever it's called, the LOCI. And so I think I went on a tangent. The horseman. Oh, I was laughing about this. So and I wanted to get in. Okay, let's start with how I was laughing about this, because I was laughing about the horseman because when I was in Tulum, Mexico, I had all this amazing stuff. And then I met these people, and I was like, yeah, we're psychic together, aren't we? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm going over here. And it made me very, very depressed. And but I was doing meditation, and I was going to the dream world, and I had been doing that in grad school, and from ayahuasca, and I had tried peyote and different DMTs. And so I've been on this huge journey with my dream space to heal my consciousness, to find out what happened with me, my lineage, and how do I reclaim myself and become this version of myself that I dreamed myself to be when I was 5, 6, 7. So I had out of body experiences when I was pre-7, before I was 7. And to me, that was just normal. And I actually had my own language for it. And I dreamed the future. And I knew that there would be a lot of chaos in before I got to the future. Given I thought that that future that I experienced when I was 6 or 7 would be when I was 30, not when I'm 50, Now I'm 54, but now I'm there. So we're 20 years late. Thank God I look young, and I'm working on the dream space within me so I remain young. That is a technique that I've been working on as well. So, but when those people that I was like, "Hey, we're finally meeting. I've been looking for you my entire life." They're like, "You're weird. um I fell off my horse." I always pretty much laughed that I was like, I fell off my donkey, because I was like, yeah, let's go, let's create this new reality, everyone. Woo, I've got all these techniques and let's do it. And I was like singing, and I was happy, I was drumming, and I was creating this stuff, and I was creating these things. But then just those people they were like the essence of like my soul. I was there, you're my soul family, oh my God, I found you, quick, quick, quick. They're like, stop doing my cheeks, leave me alone. I'm like, but my soul family, quick, quick, quick. I can just laugh at myself for this, but I was attached. So that attachment threw me into out of alignment and depression. And then it had me see a lot of the attachments to remembering, the attachments to how I'm going to remember, because I thought I was going to remember with my partner, and who knows, we still might. We're still young, who knows, but I'm not attached. I'm going to just enjoy sharing my story, and I'm back on my horse, and it's not a donkey anymore, it's a horse. It's always been a horse. So the fact that I thought it was a donkey, love you donkeys, but it was a horse. So this is Herald of Change, and the change is that I'm speaking and communicating my piece. And even if these people were my people or are, then they're gonna find out by watching me here, because I was so, and this is the time. This is the time to get out there with our truth as a people. And that was my vision. That's what I talked about in philosophy undergrad. So what took me so long? Well, I was stuck in the trying to make it happen by being a designer or whatever, or learning about marketing and learning about design, and I actually tried to build the system so that we could have the stuff. So I've thought about all of that. I know exactly what we need to heal ourselves. I know. No, I dream, I feel, I see. If I have the joy of being the one that creates it, great. I know how. I have a team. Alas, right now it's just about being the reality of the dream. So my vision in Tulum was that I called it reverie rituals, that we would come together and we would get into reverie with music and dance intentionally and ritual. And a lot of people are doing that kind of thing with ecstatic dance, but I have a little bit of an issue with ecstatic dance because I'm female, and people go and they stare at you, and then they try to dance with you in a way that you don't dance. So, or they're staring at you dance when you're in your ecstatic mode, and it's not been comfortable for me. So, and I know it's progressed and things like that, but and I'm also a certain kind of person, so I like a kind of music, and I like a kind of vibe. And so I was just imagining this super amazing vibe where we encourage people to become whole. And that's one of the books that I have been working on. That would probably be my fourth book, because that one's going to require a lot more study. And that's part of the podcast and things like that. But um, I might be able to find some people to, and I already have some people lined up that will help in defining what it means to be whole. And when I say whole, I mean like not just integral, not just this round circle thing, but like every chakra, every nerve plexus being in a healthy space, every nada, every nadi, every cell being in a healthy space. And we can dream that into reality by shifting our reality according to our intentions. So let's get let's reclaim. Let's get back on our horsies. Let's redream, updream our experiences, our lives. And some of us have a lot to shift, and I'm one of those people. So, yeah. So, is it possible to redream my body that aches and has some knees and bone situations? And I believe so, and I believe that if we dream this together, that we create a consensus reality. Like, hey, humans can heal through their thoughts and feelings, and we can actually put energy into each other and create circles to help heal each other. And that was what my metaverse is and was. In 2020, I built a metaverse with my crew in Awaken Dream Synergy, a group that I facilitated that were people that most of them were tech and creating stories about the future, or creating gaming about the future, or sensing about the future, or uh, anything that helped support people thrive on Earth. And then there were people that a lot of us, we worked with the gene keys and what it is to be a gift. And I had a challenge, and so it's still working through that. And I realized that it's just important for me to just speak the story. And for a long time, and I will probably say this again and again, I was afraid to get out there because I had a chip on my shoulder and I was jaded, and I didn't want to get out there and harm anyone, because I believe in the 100%. I love us all. And I know that we are coming through our evolution together. And that's what this beautiful dance is that we're doing on Earth. And some of my Native American friends want to do the largest round dance on Earth. So let's do that. And then we also have another project, a dream catcher project, a few of them. And whew, this is coming out. Deep, quiet meditation and stillness. Okay. It's telling me this is my evolution, actually, according to the gene keys, and also some of my people that are working on these dream systems. It's it's our evolution to be in stillness, and that's why working with meditation and listening and feeling and just being, and that's why it probably didn't work for me in the universe to actually build things. And that's why I make fun of myself as having labored, and because I've tried so many different aspects of creation, and sometimes it's laborious. And so I'm just kind of attuning to myself that I've been looking at my astrology chart, and I learned how to read that stuff, but I just didn't read it so much that I every time I read it, I'm like, oh, more and more information, and what I'm really, and for some reason I didn't remember what my North Node is, even though I was learning, which is about your evolution in this lifetime. And even though I listened to a lot of astrology podcasts on the evolutionary astrology and the significance of the North Node, I just didn't really super look into mine. So, and I did, but I didn't, I guess because I was in depression, I was more into looking at other people's and helping them define theirs, or seeing what's going on. And it was just, it's a growing process. It's a process that I was evolving through. And I was stuck in my South Node, which, um, yeah. Uh, well, I remember my North Node better now. I'm like, okay, which one? Let's go back and forth. But the North Node is in Pisces, is it my South Node in Virgo? Is that what it is? I have a lot of Virgo qualities where I can be really organized, analyzed, good at creating things. But it's also just kind of a little bit all over the place because I have so much information coming in and I want to do so much. And so I realize for me to build and create, I can't do every aspect of it. And that's the thing with startups. I was also taught in startups. Um, if you're 5 people, then everyone has 10 hats because to make it, a full business, or, 3 hats at least, 5 hats, so I've had so many different hats and I've learned so much about technology, about dreaming, and I'm looking forward to making our dream technologies, but more so this technology. This is my body, your body, our bodies are innate technology. We are the most advanced technology on earth. Nothing can compare to us. So that's why I call my interview podcast, I call it the technology of self, or not the, I call it technology of self. And I realized there was a philosopher who also spoke about the technology of self. So I'm learning about his things because every time I look up my stuff, I'm like, oh, there's this guy. And yeah, it's aligned. So I'm taking it next step, and I will certainly be grateful for his philosophies and learn more about him, because we are the technology. We have this dream space of all these molecules, the subconscious, the epigenetics, the waters that hold memory, the cosmic supra sense. We have the connection to each other, the mirror neurons, the quantum entanglement, um, and so much psychic. We're just connected everywhere. It's like we're in a water goo of life, and it's beautiful. So I say cheers to your dreams. I hope that you're connected to your dreams, and if you would like to be connected more, um, check out Robert Moss's course on Shift Network, or connect with me and have a session. So we'll see how that goes. People are actually already asking me for sessions, and I feel I'll be ready to do sessions again soon. Oh, that's what I was. The metaverse was that we created with Awaken Dream Synergy was where we could dream together in a circle and create a consensus reality that we want to create. I also worked with Lynn. Oh, I said Martha the other day. Lynn McTaggart. I also spent a few months doing the Circle of Eight, and some of the dream visions that I had um, in ayahuasca. I had so many incredible visions that I'm still working through, and I build according to those dream visions. But this vision is a repeat vision of being in a spaceship and an octagon, where we're actually going through different realities. I have so much to say. I've actually tried making AI art that depicts the spaceship. I got sort of close, but I did the first time I created AI art a few years ago, when you still had to use Google CoSpace or something, Colab, Google Colab. When you still had to use Google Colab, I made some AI art and did the prompt, and it literally showed up one of the spaces that I was seeing in one of my dream visions, where I flipped into other realities. So I'm not gonna not talk about this. This is just it's my joy to experience alternative realities and then look at how it affects my reality in my embodiment and how I can work on healing myself and releasing trauma through um, the dream space, the mind space, the shift reality. So I hope that if you see this, that it inspires you in any way. And I hope that at some point I'll be more talking about very particular ideas. And for sure, on technology of self, we'll be having discussions with experts. But right now, I'm just still kind of explaining my story and seeing where it goes and discovering how organically how I'm going to come out with it. And I thought I was going to write, and it just takes too long and I haven't done it. So it's now this, and this is going to just be unedited. Who knows if I even put a thumbnail up, maybe. um I can, but it takes time, and I'm going to school and I have clients, and I'm still working in the dream time in my body and taking care of it. And especially now, like I want to still elongate my spine. I want to be 5'8", not 5'5", and I was 5'4" a few months ago, so I just have to keep up to stay at 5'5", and I was meant to be 5'7", maybe 5'8". So I'm looking forward to having an aligned and balanced body. And for me, it's a deep potency I can have with my dream space, with my cells, with my molecules, with my environment, with my people, with our consensus reality. So if you're with me on the fact that we can heal ourselves, the more that we believe that, the more we're going to be able to do that, not just for ourselves and for each other. So yes, I'm doing it for myself, and I still have been working with releasing trauma so that I can see that and I can feel that. So these old layers that were my dream thief, that were hindering me from being my brilliant lotus blooming into the sun, um, those are still sloughing off. So I'm recognizing where they are within my dream space by doing dream alchemy, reentry, or dream incubation, as different people call it, and getting into the space within, sensing the inner space, and working with shifting it. And I've learned a lot of modalities on how to do that. And right now, I just love the people I'm working with on this too, because a lot of people are working on this, and I'm getting to know the experts, and I'm so grateful. The dreams coming true. And may your dreams come true, the best. May your best dreams come true, and may your nightmares slough off and no longer need to be a part of your your technology, your personal, innate, beautiful, organic system of dream vessel life existence. Thank you. Let's take one more card just to end this for fun. What do we need to know? What do you need to know? What do you need? Oh, here we go. Woodwives, adaptability. You are adaptable. You have got this. You can become what you feel. The more information, the more experience that is, should I let the shoulder? The more it's conducive to the reality that you envision, you dream to create, it's available to you and you can adapt to it. So we are an adaptable people, and this is where dream evolution is part of the reality that I would like to support us doing by speaking about it, by creating metaverses, by singing and drumming and rattling and having fun existing. All right. So thank you and sweet dreams. There we go.